NDE 1. My near-death experience happened after cardiac surgery. To cut a very long story short, this happened 3 times in total over a 6-week period, and I needed to have a tube with a balloon on the end inserted into my groin, which went up to my heart and pulsated with every heartbeat. During this time, I did have brief moments of consciousness as the doctors took me off life support periodically to see if I was able to breathe on my own, but I think for the most part one was unconscious. During all this, I was critically ill. Doctors had told my family I had about a 25% chance of surviving, and if I did make it through there was a high chance I would have sustained major brain damage. At some stage, although I know I wasn't conscious, I too had the thought that I was going to die. I remember hearing myself say, "I'm going to die." I wasn't at all upset by this thought. Then there was a brief moment of darkness, and next thing, I could see myself lying in what I think was a room. This room was full of light, and even though it was a bright light, it wasn't like glaring sunlight, more of a pleasant golden white light coming through what may have been a glass wall. I felt very loved at that moment, very much at peace and relaxed. Even though I couldn't see anyone else, I knew I wasn't alone. After a little while, I heard a gentle male voice tell me, "You are going to be all right, you are not going to die." I should clarify that when I say I heard a voice, I didn't actually hear it with my ears, it was in my mind, more like a thought. I do remember thinking I must have died and gone to heaven. That is all I can remember of the experience, except that it wasn't at all upsetting or frightening in any way. NDE 2. My grandmother's country home has a bridge in the front. The road is on one side and the house the other. A bridge spans a wide creek. I was playing in the creek. I got into a sandy area and I slid into a deep hole in the creek bottom. I was underwater. My father saw what happened from the front porch. He jumped in and tried to revive me. I remember going into water over my head and seeing the air bubbles go to the surface. Things went black for about 15 seconds. Then the scene changes. My family was standing around my body, my father giving mouth to mouth. I was above them floating. My vision was expansive. Like a cinemascope movie. I especially remember my grandmother navy polka dot dress. They could not see or hear me though. I wondered what was going on, what happened. Then I remember throwing up and I was back in my body. I did not understand at the time what happened. But later in life, this NDE haunted me. I tried to get information and began reading about Edgar Cayce, psychics, NDE, etc. I started reading in the 1965 and stopped in the 1970s. Then picked up again in the late 1980s. I have read so much about life, death, the afterlife, and religions I came to the conclusion that no one really knows for sure.